Let us now further the discussion. We now joined via Zoom by the Director of the Center for Africa-China Studies at the University of Johannesburg, Dr. David Monyae. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Monyae. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC News channel.
Good afternoon, and to all listeners.
All right, so let's get your take now. A very tight race. It has become, things look a bit brighter for Joe Biden. Your take?
Indeed, but we just have to wait patiently. Anything could change. All what Joe Biden could do is to maintain Arizona and Nevada. Chances are high that his passage to victory is quite clear. And Donald Trump is still battling, regardless of all the noise and the tweets that he's making endlessly. It might not take him anyway close to victory. And the legal impediments that he's putting in place won't work, because most of them are just centered around Pennsylvania. I think other areas, there isn't much of a problem. So I doubt very much that he would have an easy passage to victory.
So it's the tweets, the noise that he's making, as you say, as well as the claims that he was being cheated and, of course, taking this matter to court to try to stop voting. What do you make of all of this? Is this likely to sort of erode trust that's been built and how the entire world views America?
Indeed, I think it is undermining U.S. leadership, moral leadership in democracy, and as well as on issues of democratization. As it stands, I think more damage has been done to U.S. leadership on those specific issues in terms of managing electoral processes, as well as easy way of being patient, following, listening to what others are saying. But Donald Trump has decided to take a completely different route. He continues sending these damaging messages, challenging the entire system. But all this is happening in a U.S. with a constitution that is increasingly becoming outdated, and the entire process, electoral process, where they have two systems, the popular vote as well as the college system, is not working. You can't have losers having an upper hand, with all elections in the past 2-3 decades.
All right. So what impact do you think the election will have on the U.S.'s monetary policy going forward?
The markets are still stable. One is not expecting any drastic changes. But should there be violence on the ground, obviously the markets will react. But at the moment, there's a clear understanding that it's a short period that we are going through. But the most serious issue for me, it has to do, even if Joe Biden wins, he would have lost, the Democrats would have lost the Senate, and they have no control in the Supreme Court with the 6-3 in favor of Republicans. It makes life for Joe Biden in White House quite difficult, as Republicans will put obstacles in any policies that he might enact. So it's a challenge that the U.S. is getting into, a policy paralysis of some sort. That in itself, it will affect markets quite drastically.
Indeed. I've just had a conversation with our SABC foreign editor, Sophie Mukwena, whereby she was telling us about the relationship that Joe Biden has with the African continent, zooming specifically to us here in South Africa, that he's had meetings with former presidents, for example. Let's just talk about the importance of the elections for us here on the African continent and zoom again into South Africa on its own.
Joe Biden has a great experience with South Africa, with the continent. He is a man, since he entered the Senate in 1972, after a terrible accident that he lost his wife and his daughter He has been working extremely hard in foreign committee within Senate that deals with foreign affairs. And therefore, he has intimate knowledge of foreign affairs, particularly Africa issues and South Africa, as indicated in that video you showed. And one will expect him to hit the ground running in terms of dealing with the core issues. But in light of all other challenges within the United States, with a really declining economy, COVID-19 that is killing people in the United States more than any other part of the world, you're dealing with also a racial tension within the United States. I think he'll spend a great deal of his time trying to resolve domestic issues than foreign affair issues. However, would see a Joe Biden that will return the United States fully within international organization, particularly United Nations and the World Health Organization, where Donald Trump has pulled out. Issues such as the climate change, I think Joe Biden will work quite closely with China on those issues. And when you look at whether it's climate change or on issues of Iraq and Iran peace deal, those are some of the issues that Africa as a whole has huge interest, because the bulk of global conflicts are on the African continent, and it is in Africa's interest to see a united world with the two superpower countries, United States and China, working closely to deal with those global peace and security.
All right, so we are not preempting anything. As we said, it's still a bit too early to predict who may occupy the White House. But how will Trump's loss affect foreign relationships with other countries such as India, North Korea, and even Russia?
If Trump retains the White House, he is going to continue with what he has been doing. I think he'll do it at a much more larger scale, with no fear of facing any other elections. I think he will continue with his trade war with China and tension in the South China Sea. And you see him expanding on the tension with China over technology, particularly 5G. And Africa has been far away from Donald Trump's radar screen. And that in itself, as it looks negative, I think it's a plus for the continent. We're better off with less negative involvement of the United States on the African soil. And he has no respect for the continent. He has called us names. And you're going to see more or less the same. Less interest on the continent, less interest on international organization, the UN and the like, and deal with a typical Trump business deal kind of foreign policy going forward.
All right, so just in conclusion, let's also talk about what do you think the winner of the election should address first? What should their point of departure be? We've heard them during their campaign trails making promises, touching on a number of things. You and I have already spoken about policy-related issues. So whoever takes it, what should their point of departure be to the Americans?
The U.S. has huge challenges. I think the very first one is the disunity, lack of policy coherence, economic that is not doing well, and management of health issues, particularly COVID-19. And therefore, whoever wins, given the outcome of these elections with a huge division with the rural America and urban America, I think there's a need for the nation to heal the wounds, to discuss, find a common position on key issues. So those are major issues. I think the United States needs to deal with challenges in their democracy, particularly an outdated constitution, and try to streamline it and modernize it on issues such as gun control. And there's so much that the United States can learn from Africa and all other parts of the world. So I think those are key issues. Grow the economy, stabilize peace and security within the United States, the killing of black youth on the streets of America. Those are some of the major challenges. As we look from afar, we get shocked given the fact that the United States remains the most powerful country and U.S. leadership is needed all over the world.
All right, Dr. Monyae, we leave it at that. We thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. David Monyae is the director for the Center for Africa-China Studies at the University of Johannesburg, talking to us about the latest coming out of the United States. We take you back now to